me, Jennifer,
and Julia.
And Julia from Little Metal Foxes. We wanted to say hi and let you guys know we didn't forget tool tips yesterday. I was sick. So we're doing Tool Tip Tuesday on Wednesday.
But which is one of the day I always have wanted to do it, but Jennifer's like, no, you have to do Tool Tip Tuesday on a Tuesday.
That'd be Tool Tip Wednesday, which doesn't rhyme or make sense. It's not, yeah. So anyway, Tool Tip Tuesday on Wednesday. So yes. Hi, Michelle. Hello. Nice to see you out there. Okay, so today's tip that we're going to be doing is about letters and number stamps, because I'm not going to show you how to use them because they're pretty self-explanatory. You know, you hit it with a hammer and you make a mark. It's a stamp.
Well, there are some things that, we can teach them.
But we're not going to.
We're not going to.
That's not what today's tip is about.
That's not what it's about.
Today's tip is about prepping your stamps to make sure they work for you and
to get the most out of
your stamps
and to avoid those annoying mistakes from like stamping a letter sideways, say.
Yeah, or upside down, or on an uneven line. So when you buy stamps, they obviously come in different sizes, and you can actually get different fonts, all kinds of different looks, and that are just really great. Impress Art makes a wide range of different fonts and characters and all kinds of stuff that you can get, which makes it really easy. And you can get those at like Michael's and at Joann Fabrics, which makes it really easy. Plus, you can get like the 50% off one item coupon for Michael's and Joann's like all the time. They send them out like once a week, and use those on those stamps. So
because the Impress stamps are a little spendy. These are not Impress stamps. These are inexpensive.
Yeah,
I just like them.
And little sets like this are not too terribly expensive, to get. And you can usually find a little set of numbers. A little set of numbers for.
This is a set of punctuation. Hashtag.
Much more difficult to find.
I love the little hashtag.
Yeah.
I don't know, the little hashtag stamp. It just makes me happy.
Right. So, but here's the thing. When you buy stamps, a lot of times they'll come in a little box like that, or a nice little wooden box like this one. And but you usually are looking at stamps that are going to be in different sizes and different qualities. But here's the thing. Some of them, like this one, has like all the information on it. It's 1 millimeter, and it tells you which stamp it is right there at the bottom.
Right.
All that information, generally on stamps, when you're using them, is facing you, so that you can see.
So you know which way is right side up.
Which way's right side up, which way's facing you. So that way when you are stamping, that should be facing you so you can see it. That's how you know.
And it will be legible and right side up.
Which direction it's supposed to go. So that's one of the things that's really key. The problem is not all of them have that. Some of them have a, there was another one that had like a big numbers on it.
This one has a notch.
Yeah. Oh, this is the other indicator. So some of them have a little notch like this. So the little notch goes toward you, and that's how you know which way's right side up when you're stamping. Really important. So you can also grind a little notch. If yours don't have any indicator, you could grind a little notch in them. That's fine. The little notch on these is the only indicator that's on this particular stamp. So it's really hard to tell what these are, because these are like a 1.5 millimeter stamp.
These are 1/16 figures, so they're little tiny. So you have to look closely to see what they are. Look how
tiny it is. Yeah. So yeah, it's just really super tiny. And here's the thing. Some of them actually have like a number at the top. Most of the Impress Art stamps do have the number at the top.
Or the letter.
Because you're usually holding it close to the bottom, and they have the number or letter at the top, which makes it a little bit easier to see. But here's the thing you can do that I usually recommend is mark your stamps so you know easily, you can see easily which side is supposed to be facing you when you're stamping. So it's right side up when you stamp. A couple of things you can do. Nail polish. Real simple solution. Put a dot of nail polish on there, and that makes it really easy for you to be able to see which side is supposed to be facing you.
It would have been so much better to use nail polish than Sharpie marker.
Sharpie sinks right into the steel.
You can sort of see the Sharpie marker on there, and it's getting rubbed off, and I should just use the nail polish. But there's more.
So,
Jennifer,
the other thing I would recommend is using like a white enamel paint on the side facing you, and then use like a enamel pen or permanent pen like paint pen to write what it is that is on the stamp.
Right. What's
So
the letter?
that you don't get them mixed up. Because if you're doing a layout of letters or numbers and putting something together rather than just like one initial, usually you're putting like a word together or something. That way you know what letters you're using in the right order. But I usually will put a mark on there so I know what the letter is and what direction it's supposed to be facing when I'm stamping. That will help eliminate any misstamps, mistakes, and heartache when you get it wrong.
It makes so much sense to spend a little bit of time. The holidays are coming. You're going to have a few days off. Take a little bit of time to do some of this, like, prep
Self-care.
work. Self-care for your tools. Yeah. It's like labeling the files in your filing system. You spend a little bit of time to mark your stamps, and then when you sit down to do a stamping project, it's going to go a lot faster, and you're not going to spend a whole lot of time with your loop, like looking closely, trying to figure out, like, is that the M or the N? Is that the G or the O?
Yeah.
You'll just know because you've already marked it. And it'll be marked permanently.
And it really does help quite a lot. And whether you're customizing it by putting the notch in or by, using a graver, like a little, a diamond ball, and engraving that in with a diamond ball so it's a little more permanent in the stamp, that works too. Whatever works for you. Use what you've got. If you've got nail polish, use it. If you've got a little ball burr and you want to grind it in there, go for it.
I'm sure
it just makes it easier in the long run.
Yeah, I'm sure the vibratory engraver would probably work fine because this tool steel, the part that you hit is going to be soft, and so if you are marking it up here at the end where you hit it, I'm sure it's soft tool steel. It's not hardened, so the vibratory engraver would mark just fine. But I like your idea of white background, nice dark letters or numbers so you can really see it easily, and you're not having to like squint and get the tool at the right angle to be able to see the engraved mark.
Make it easy for you to see.
Make it easy. We're getting older.
The other thing that's really helpful is grinding back, putting a camphor on your stamp. These have been ground back away from the letter, and these have not. So this is just kind of the way they come. And there's usually sort of an area around the stamp itself. And if you're tipped off a little bit, sometimes that can get in the way, first of all.
Make a mark.
Second of all, it makes it really difficult to see if you're holding it flat or where the stamp is and where you're lining it up. So if you grind back from that little edge a little bit from your letter, it actually does a couple of things. It makes it easier to see where you're stamping, and it also helps to keep it from marking your metal.
Right. Marks that you don't want.
Yeah, marks that you don't want on that sharp edge.
Yes.
So you can grind those back as well, and that really does help a lot.
You probably do need to have a grinder or like a pretty coarse grindstone in your flex shaft. Yeah. And if you're going to do that, I would grinding stone. I would strongly recommend you have, like a plastic box or something to do this in, because it's going to throw little pieces of steel all over your bench, and you don't want them all over your bench.
No. Yeah.
Eye protection.
Eye protection. Yes. And you can do this a little bit wet if you need to and keep the steel cool. But I usually work with a bowl of water nearby so I can like quench everything as well. Dust collection.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Dust collection works really well too on that. If you have like a little dust collector, that helps a lot.
If you go to shoeboxstudio.com, that have the plastic Lemel trap, you can do it inside the plastic container.
That'll grab everything so it doesn't get all over the studio. So any kind of like a heavy grinding stone, and you can get those from any of the Dremel, Dremel tool boxes or at hardware stores. So
these actually came this way. I have to admit, I did not do this work.
Somebody did.
But when I bought them, they're much improved over these.
Yeah. You can see the difference.
Yeah. It just gives you a much nicer. You can really see it because then this metal isn't in the way visually. You can see the stamp much more easily too.
Kyle, do we want to help you with your 30 plus classroom sets?
Have the students do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tool setup process. Here.
Teach them how to do that. Good luck with that, Kyle.
Good luck with that. Yes, because they're going to grind right through the letter.
Probably. Yeah.
Sorry, they're high school students.
So, but
Are they paying attention? No.
And teach them how to do it right. Teach them how to use those tools right, which is, I know what you do anyway. Kyle teaches high school metalsmithing and is phenomenal. The way that, big love.
We love you, high school metalsmithing teachers.
Yes, absolutely. So, big love to you guys. Also, the other thing that I usually recommend when I'm stamping stuff and want to keep it pretty even is I'll use a piece of a low tack masking tape, like a paint tape or something like that, and just lay it right along the line that I want to be stamping. And that really helps me to sort of feel the edge and to keep it level.
You just bring the stamp right up to the edge of the tape and you can feel where the letter is, where the actual raised parts of the letter are.
Yeah.
That
and if you've got, again, if you've got that little edge on there, it's sometimes a false feel, a false edge.
It's feels like a false
edge. But if you've got it ground away and you can see the letters a little bit better, it makes it a little easier to see that. So masking tape, is a great tool for that.
Yep.
Love the masking tape. Yes. So, so that's our
that's tool tip.
That's my tool tip for that, for my stamps. And I really do. I like the Impress Art stamps. They're really pretty good. And I've got the ones that you can get from the hardware store, and those are fantastic. Or Harbor Freight usually has a basic set. For marking your work, for putting dates on things, for personalizing stuff. Stamps can be really great. And I really like stamps a lot. Letter stamps, number stamps, and punctuation stamps and little symbols.
I'm telling you, hashtag stamp.
Because you can use them as texture.
That's true.
You can use them for all kinds of stuff, like little C's or U's. You can use as like scales on things, or like the V's make great dragon scales. And so you can use those stamps as texture, not just letters. Something I learned from my dyslexic sister.
Lyreworks, these are 1 millimeter stamps. These are tiny, and I got them online.
I can't even see them.
You can barely see them, right? Because they're so small. I got them on Amazon, I think.
Yeah.
These are 1 millimeter, 0.04 inches. Yes. Tiny. They're so tiny. I got them for being able to mark the numbers on, like, if I had a bail on the, like a wire bail on the back of a piece, I could stamp the date on it.
Teeny tiny.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah. And so those are numbers?
These are all numbers.
Those are numbers.
Yeah.
But you could probably find the letters too. Yeah. So, but punctuation sometimes is hard to find, and it's nice. This one is from Harbor Freight. Is that what you said?
No, that I got from somebody on Etsy.
Oh, well, there you go.
And they were like $10 for the set of 9 punctuation. It's like, it has like an @ symbol, hashtag, I think
question mark,
parenthesis, comma.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, the thing that's funny about these is that they are marked, but they're all marked with an X.
X marks the spot. But hey, at least they're marked. At least you know which side it faces you, even if you do have to squint to see. To see what
it's a box of 9 X's. That's what
9 X's. Yeah.
But yeah,
who doesn't need an extra X, right? That's the letter that you most likely are going to lose.
Also great for textures. X's are great for textures. Yes. But take a look around and see what kind of stamps are out there. I found some really cool ones for project I was working on that I needed something that looked a little more script-like, and that worked really well.
Was that your vote brooch?
I did use them for the vote brooch.
The vote brooch was great.
But I used them for my niece's graduation birthday present, I think, for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is nice to have some letters that are not just, like, all the ones I have are just, like the blocky square capitals, and they work fine. They're functional. But no, they're not. They're nowhere near as elegant as Helvetica. They're just blocky capitals from Harbor Freight. But, if you really are just trying to get the letters onto something, that's fine. But if you want it to be a little more elegant and refined, there are a remarkable number of fonts out there. It's crazy, in both uppercase and lowercase, right? Like, you can go crazy with them. There's a lot out there.
There are.
There are a lot, yes.
There are, true. So,
okay, so what's coming up?
Yes, but take care of your stamps and they'll take care of you.
Lifetime of stamping is ahead of you.
Yes, indeed. So, hello. We've got upcoming classes Starting in January.
January.
So we've got a couple of weeks of...
Nobody's taking classes right now. Everybody is freaking out and trying to get their stuff done for the holidays, and we're like, that's great.
So are we.
So are we. And we're like, you guys do you, and we'll do us, and take a break. But we'll be back in January.
Yeah, but we've got some great classes coming up in January.
Yes.
And we're going to have some great instructors coming up next year as well.
Not just the two of us, but more people.
More.
We're great instructors. But there are other great instructors out there.
So, yeah. So first up is going to be Sticks and Stones, and that is just the first week, right on the 8th of January. Sticks and Stones is, I love teaching this class because I've had people over the years for a long time asking me how I join a lot of the parts in my sculptures and my wearable sculptural pieces as well. And because I use a lot of mixed materials and found objects.
Plastic. Things you can't heat
hair,
up with a
teeth,
torch.
bone, glass, wood, shell, reflectors, auto body parts,
rusty washers, rusty
yeah,
nails.
and just the picture that's on there.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, how do you cut those things to make them work? How do you notch them? How do you drill them? What kind of safety precautions are there when you're working with materials that aren't metal? How do you cold connect those pieces, or make them look like they need to be together in a way that makes sense? How do you clean them up? How do you sand them? So all those things, using all those materials, using mixed materials in your work, that's what Sticks and Stones is. So finding the right tools and the right materials and the safety from working with some of those. I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different materials, and some of them, people will come to me and go, "Oh, I've got ivory or eagle feathers or something." And I'm like, no, you don't want to do that, especially if you're going to sell it. No, don't do that. So there
do you know you cannot sell, because of the Migratory Bird Act,
songbirds.
You cannot. It is actually illegal to pick up feathers.
Yep.
Like crow feathers and stuff like that. You're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to pick them up. Nobody's going to come and harass you for
picking up a feather.
But
however,
you can't sell it.
No,
you can't put it in work you're going to sell.
So there are things like that you do need to be careful of, and not all woods are created equal. Not all.
That's true. Some of them
materials
can give you pretty bad allergies.
Yeah. So anyway, Sticks and Stones.
Sticks and Stones.
Stick it all together.
About it.
Yeah, nails, glue. All kinds of stuff. Cutting glass. Chemical bonding. But also, Julia's going to be doing kambu.
Kambu, yes. I have a little piece of it right here.
Oh, you do?
It's
yay. So, kambu is a beautiful traditional Korean technique of adding gold to the surface of silver, generally. But it can be, you can change it in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's a nice way to add gold. Ooh, look at that.
Trying to get it so you can see it.
Yeah.
So this was actually roll printed, and then the kambu is applied. It's 24 karat, 23.5 karat gold. So it's such a delicious.
Not leaf.
Yeah, foil, not leaf. You can do it with leaf, but it doesn't really work. And then it's been antiqued, which gives that wonderful contrast. So that's what's so fabulous with kambu on silver, is that when you antique it, it just pops. It's just the most amazing brightness.
Yeah,
so
look
cool.
at that. Because the gold doesn't patina.
Gold doesn't patina, but the silver does.
Yeah.
So you can use a little bit of gold and get a lot of pop and a lot of
the cool thing too is that you get you can get very graphic, clean lines, and it's really lovely. What else is coming up, Julia?
Flex shaft tips and tricks.
Flex shafts. So you're getting a new flex shaft for Christmas. Don't want to burst your bubble and spoil a surprise from Santa, but go get your flex shaft.
Put it on the list.
Sit on Santa's lap and tell him you need one.
Yes.
But there's so many things the flex shaft can do, and I really want to demystify it, because you can use it as a hammer handpiece, as an engraver tool, as a sander, as a drill press. There's just 1,012 things. But not all flexible shaft drills are created equal.
Nope.
And we'll talk about the differences and what different needs you might have, because you may not need the Fordham, top of the line flexible shaft drill. You might need just a basic Dremel or a micromotor. There's lots of options out there. So we'll talk about that and demystify all of that for you. What else?
Files demystified. I'm going to do the files demystified class again, which is really fun. So I talk about all the different kinds of files. Do you know what a habilis file is?
I don't, Julia. What is it?
I can't remember. I will have to look at my notes. A bastard cut files. Do you know what those are?
They're files without a mother.
They're files without a mother. They're poor things. Well, actually, no, they're not files without a mother. Bastards all have mothers.
Oh, that's true.
that they just don't have an identified father necessarily.
That's true.
So fatherless files. So I'm going to talk about all the different kinds: escapement files, needle files, key files, hand files, and all that kind of stuff, and how to take care of them and how to put a handle on them, because putting a handle on them is non-trivial.
I have to say, I sat in on your class when you taught it last time, and I've been doing this a very long time, and I learned a ton of stuff about files that I never knew before and never heard about. So
what shelling is, come to the class. I'll tell you. I do remember what that is. Habilis files are a size, actually. They're one of the many.
I do remember that now.
Sizes of files, right? And so it's
telling me about that. So. But yeah, files demystify.
Files
Lots of files. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. And there's a 9-page handout with pictures and
everything and more that you've ever wanted to know.
Everything you've ever wanted to know about files, like what's the difference between Swiss pattern and bastard cut and all that. Okay. Oh, the other one we want to talk about, waxworking.
Waxwork. Yeah. So we're going to be doing wax carving for jewelry, and
you haven't done that for a while.
I haven't done it for a while because for a couple of reasons. But I really love doing. My specialty is casting, and I really love casting. I really love wax carving. And I can answer a ton of questions about technical stuff when it comes to wax. Well, because
you did it. You
professionally for a long time.
Yes, you did it professionally. You know a little bit about the process.
So there are lots and lots of great tools. You can do it with the most basic tools and build your tool set. But there's a lot to know about waxes. If you're doing it at home, where you can send your waxes to be cast and turned into metal pieces. Or if you're setting up your own thing at home, how to do that. We can talk about that. But primarily what we're going to be focusing on is the wax models and making them perfect, because the problem is if your wax models don't look good, your cast pieces look like crap too.
And you will demystify all of the different kinds of wax. Lyra Works says she feels super intimidated by wax, and it's don't.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff out there. So
it used to be there were like 2 kinds of wax, and you had to be like really good. Now there are all these different kinds of wax that will do different things for you.
Right.
And Jennifer knows about all of them.
I do know about all of them. If you're at all intimidated, one, by the waxes, by the tools, and by the casting process, but you want to sort of get into it, dip your feet in, this is a really good way to do that, because there are times where you want to make findings that are your own, or parts that you make that you want to have replicated, but you don't know how. And so I know that several of you have pieces that are clasp pieces or earring pieces that you're building on, or frame that you're filling with things like filigree or enamels or things like that. So how do you make multiples of those pieces to increase your productivity and make things a little bit simpler? And it gives you the ability to be able to talk to your caster and know what you're talking about, and know what they're talking about, know what's possible and what's not. So really be able to help you out a lot when it comes to that kind of thing. I was a production jeweler caster for many years, and there are some things that are better done by fabricating. There's some things that are better done in wax, and so we'll talk about those things too.
Yeah, so. You don't want to cast an earring post, for example. Like you don't want to do that. But there are a lot of things you can cast, and just because it's thin or small or open doesn't mean it isn't castable.
Right.
So it's all about having the insider intel, and Jennifer has it all.
Okay, so do you prefer making straight in wax, or
make it in metal, or have a mold made? It really depends on the object of what you're doing. So
exactly.
Because if you're, if you wanted to make a little unicorn charm, how would you carve the metal? You can't carve the metal as easily as you can carve the block of wax.
Right.
If you're making frames for filigree, or if you're making something like, I have these little earring tops that I make that were a little swirl, I did make those masters in metal and then had them sent them out to have a mold made. So,
but you can learn all about that, and it's we go through all the basics of the waxes, what's going to work better for you for exactly that kind of thing, what it cost, what the cost is, and the thing that I think is really the scariest part to a lot of people is they don't know how much it's going to cost, and it seems like it's something that's because you don't know what it is and how much it is. It's the fear of the unknown more than anything else. So that's really what I want to help you guys sort out. And so demystify the casting process for you and all those waxes and what we can do. So I'm hoping that you guys can join me then. The other one is basic engraving with a line punch forge.
Yes.
And the hammer hand piece. So
this is one of your most popular classes. I think you've
it
run
is.
this class
It
like
sells
half a dozen
out.
times.
Yeah, it
already,
sells
right?
out almost every single time. And a lot of times Chris Anderson, who is the inventor of the line punch forge graver, will join us and sort of give us his tips and tricks for that. He's joined us many times in the past. And it's a great tool not only for not just, it's a good stopgap between hand engraving and a power graver that can be thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's great.
It's not a stopgap. It's a good.
It's a good.
It's a good step up. It's like a step stool, right? Like learning how to do hand engraving is really hard.
Yeah.
And then having making the commitment to go to one of these thousands of dollars GRS or Lindsay air graver is big. It's like you want to make sure this is something you really want to do.
Well, the other thing is
it's like an intermediate.
It's an intermediate step, yeah. And I know that Chris has worked with, was sitting next to the guy that was working with the GRS graver, and they switched. And both of them were like, okay, yeah, I see what this does and how it works and what it's good for. And it's really good for a lot of different things. But the thing that is just like everything else, the tool is not going to make you an expert at engraving, but it will make a lot of your engraving needs a little bit easier.
It'll make the practice process easier, so that you can become better at the shapes, at the movement.
And one of the things that Chris really emphasized to me with this is that you can use it for a lot of texturing. I found that I can bead set with it really quickly and easily. And that alone is wonderful. Those two things alone are fantastic.
He makes stamps with his too.
He does.
He will carve shapes into the ends of tool steel rod and make beautiful like little leaf stamps or little shell stamps and stuff. So,
but you can use already made tools as engraver parts to do things like create liners, which is really cool, which makes really lovely multiple lines and basket weaves and things like that. So the line punch forge graver with the hammer hand piece is fantastic, and with and I can introduce you to all that. Then you can make a decision about what you want, how it works, and kind of see how it goes. But that's coming up on the 22nd of January. Yeah.
So that's the last class we have.
Those are in January.
So that's all their January classes. We won't tell you about February.
But etch in a bag.
But there are other things. There are fun things coming up in February too.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for some guest instructors that are coming up. That are maybe teaching things like enameling, or hopefully if I can talk to Michelle, maybe some filigree as well. And so see what else we can come up with. We've got glass. Hopefully, the torch fire enamels, and lots of other stuff. So looking forward to 2022.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It's been crazy. So, we love you guys. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch any of the other videos, they are all on our YouTube channel. There's a free class there now as well that we did a couple of weeks ago. And it gives you kind of an idea of what we do and how we do it and who we are. So
talks about the basic tools you need for making
setup and setting up a solder station. And so and we will see you guys hopefully next week, right before the holidays. And have a great holiday season. So
all right.